Did you know that each of the bullets fired in Halo 3 by Master Chief has his name engraved on them? You're listening to the Xbox Hub Podcast, the official podcast of the TheXboxHub.com. For the latest Xbox news, reviews, videos, and opinions, make sure you visit the TheXboxHub.com. But for now, settle down, get comfy, and open your ears for some podcast delights. Hello, and welcome to the Xbox Hub Official Podcast, episode 146. My name's Gareth Bridie. I am your host, and on my virtual left is Mr. Darren Edwards. How you doing, Darren?
Oh, hello. Good evening. I'm very well, thank you. Yourself?
Oh, very good. It's a surprise to be on the left.
I am surprised. Yeah. That's where I belong now. So
yes.
I don't know why you're surprised to be on the left, but anyway, it's no surprise to the rest of us.
And, on my virtual right is Mr. Paul Renshaw, who just heard there. How you doing, Paul? You all right?
Hi, Gareth. Sorry, I jumped in there before I was cued.
That's good. I like it.
I'll never make an actor, will I? All groovy. Thank you very much. Happy to be on the right, since people on the left are all Labour supporters. So, fine.
we're not recession, everyone.
Yeah, we won't even go down there. And on my virtual opposite, in the middle, someone would say, like a Lib Dem, is Richard Dobson. How you doing, Richard Dobson?
Hang on a minute here.
Oh, that's an insult.
I'm happy to be down the middle and the best of both worlds, but Lib Dem.
I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
Nobody's party.
There you go. A bit of politics already. That's what we like. Right, gentlemen, how's your week been? Let's start with Richard. I've insulted him already.
Week's been good. Yeah. There's a new thing on Netflix which I've been really looking forward to. I didn't know about it. So I don't know if any of you guys remember the Channel 5 show back in the early noughties, I think, called The Mole.
No.
I think I've mentioned it on the podcast before, actually. I was, at the start of lockdown, I was rewatching them all on YouTube. It's basically a group of contestants have to do these challenges, and they can be of varying degrees in a location for money. But one of these contestants is a mole that's been planted in and is trying to sabotage these challenges and stop them from making money. And it only ran for 2 series in the UK, but I was absolutely obsessed with it as a kid, and I kept saying when I rewatched it during lockdown that this would be a brilliant show to resurrect. And anyway, Netflix have done it, but it's a sort of a continuation of the American series, and it's very much like The Mole for the Instagram generation now. You look at these contestants and there's not one unattractive person in it. And they all do this whole talking to the camera thing in a different setting where they're relaying what's been going through the head as these challenges go on. So yeah, it's been brought kicking and screaming into a modern setting, which is good and bad, I suppose. But yeah, I've been watching The Mole reboot on Netflix.
What would you give it out of 10?
Maybe a 6.
Okay.
I have really, I like I say, I loved rewatching it again, the British series, and it was never going to match up to this, but it's still the bones of the Mole that I loved as a child are still there. Slightly more modern.
It sounded like a beloved childhood pet then.
Yeah, it did. Yeah, it sounds a bit morbid. The bones of the mole are still invisible.
I don't know why I'm laughing.
My goodness.
I've watched a similar program, Richard, but it's a CBBC program called Chant, and they're in a big tower, and there's a saboteur. So I think the format's been pinched by a few people.
Okay.
So that was quite good, actually, even though it was aimed at people 10, 15 years younger than me. So I might give that a look.
Oh,
sounds quite fun.
Dan, how's your week been?
So we had a Halloween party on Saturday we were chatting about last week, so that was good fun. Managed to sort a Super Mario costume in time that was a tight onesie in areas I won't describe. But that was good fun. And Ryan wore a matching costume of Alan Grant from Jurassic Park. So there we go. But yeah, that was really good
that
fun.
famous combo, Mario and Alan Grant. Yeah.
Well, I left it too late, and I was going to go as Jeff Goldblum, Ian Malcolm, but then I had to get like leather jackets and all of this, and I just wouldn't have been able to sort it in time. So I decided to go for the plan B. And then I was a bit unsettled because everyone told me how much I suited a moustache. But I've never been one to grow facial hair, so maybe I can do Movember next year. But yeah, and then in work, everything's been breaking. I've just had a call tonight that something else has broke. So printer started printing out endless copies of some receipt. I couldn't stop it. Every time I turned it on and off, it just continued where it left off. Paul, you might be able to help with this. So I've just found where it's coming from, and I've unplugged that till, and I seem to have exorcised the demon inside it, but I don't turn it back on, because it's just spewing the same thing out again and again, which is incredibly irritating. So yeah, technology has tested my patience this week. So I am looking forward to a day off tomorrow, I must say.
Good. Okay. Sorry about that, Darren.
Awesome.
Paul, what about you? Has your week been better?
Well, Darren, first of all, did you check the printer queue?
Don't start giving IT advice now on the thing.
If you ask me if I turned it on and off again, I am going to take offence, Paul.
Well, no, because that literally is what the way the printers work. It'll send the jobs to the printer, and quite often the queue on the computer can be empty, but they're actually stored in the buffer on the printer.
Well,
so
I got IT to like go in remotely to the till, and it's a till, not a PC. So it's like a desktop version of Windows, and it's all very boring. But they couldn't find anything, and I just ripped the power cable out because I'd had enough. So
what you're saying is you're just making it up, yeah? So if IT can't find it, then
I think it's a ghost. Personally, that's where my money is. But
it's a bit late though.
Well, IT opened a ticket 2 days ago, and they still haven't sorted it. So I've sorted it temporarily. That's all
I'll tell you something from an IT standpoint.
Jesus.
People like you who just rip cables out. Honestly,
hey, I've got
worst nightmare.
Paul. I can't
worst
be waiting
nightmare.
2 days for IT to get their act together. I'm sorry. I've got a
Anyway.
job.
I know
This is supposed to be my section, so yeah, my turn now. Yes, Gareth, thanks for asking. My week's been interesting, I think, dealing with all of the IT and people pulling cables out and stuff. But other than that, the only thing I wanted to mention was just to catch Darren up, basically, listening to the news this morning that people from northern cities, great northern cities, Darren, like Liverpool or Manchester.
Thank you.
No mention of Leeds.
You're from Oldham, though, so technically that doesn't count for you either.
That's getting savage.
That's Greater Manchester, thank you, Dobbo.
There's nothing great about Manchester.
This is from the boys from Leeds. Anyway, so yeah, basically, if you have a northern accent, it can actually harm your career, they were saying. So Gareth will be all right. That's why he's in London, and that's why we're all scratching the living out.
Ooh, I lost you, Paul, there. Paul, I've lost you. Are you still there?
I'm still here.
Hello. You disappeared on us.
Oh
my word.
Yeah, I'm just going to pull this power lead out and see what happens.
That'll sort it.
But don't move, Paul. Whatever you do, don't move. Stay where you are. Don't do anything else.
I didn't move anyway. I got a little animated when Dobbo was in Manchester, but apart from that...
Too excited.
But apart from that, yes, everything is awesome. Everything is cool when you're part of a team. So.
Good. I have been watching on Netflix. I think we watched the whole weekend, The Cabinet of Curiosities. And if you don't know what this is, it's like a anthology program. There's kind of 8 episodes. Almost like you could say a Black Mirror type thing when you're watching 8 separate stories, different directors, based around a kind of horror, The Cabinet of Curiosities, or horror thriller, psychological horror. And De Toro, what's his first name?
Guillermo.
Yeah, he introduces it. I think Hitchcock used to introduce each one, and he has a little cabinet, and then he introduces a story. But they're really good. I mean, there's some really brilliant ones in there. It's really worth a watch. It's really some, even if you're only going to like maybe half of them, it's still really worth a watch. They're really exciting, kind of interesting tales, and some really odd ones in there as well, which I really like. Now give it a watch. So
We've watched the first one, really enjoyed it. Need to carry on with it.
Yeah, some great ones. Wait to get to number 7, then we can have a conversation.
Oh, it reminds me of, like you say, Black Mirror kind of Inside Number 9, that kind of anthology, different story every week. So I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah. Good. Let's go on to games. We've been playing games. Let's start. Richard, what's your first game?
I'll start with Trifox, which I reviewed, and that's up on the site now. It's like it's supposed to be channeling the 3D platformers that graced the PS1 and PS2 era, but it's a lot more than that as well. So you play as a fox who's gone on a mission to basically retrieve his remote control after it was stolen from his house. And you have these like 3 archetypes. You have engineer, mage, and warrior, and you can choose abilities from these to then wander around these levels. But you can mix and match. You don't need to choose the warrior, for example, and play as a warrior throughout. You pick a starting ability, but then after that, you have access to all these skill trees. And it's really interesting, some of the builds that you can come up with, even for a platformer, because it does get quite tricky as well. So the first level will lull you into a false sense of security, and then the second level will show you the true colours. Like, actually, I need to sort of not necessarily level up, but I need a bigger and better arsenal, basically. And you choose these abilities from these 3 skill trees, but it plays like a top-down twin-stick shooter a little bit. So the abilities that I've got, one of them just fires bullets continuously, and you're using the right stick to control where these bullets are going. But then I was also dropping flame turrets down. I think these were both from the engineer skill tree, but then my dodge ability was from the mage skill tree. And it's really interesting to sort of play around with these builds that you can make. There's even like a training area where you can try them out before you jump into these tricky levels. So I had a really good time with it. I think I gave it 4 stars. There's a lot of replayability in it as well, because whilst it sort of channels these 3D platformers, it's not a massive collectathon. There's only 32 gems, I think, that you need to find throughout these levels, and they're quite well hidden. But yeah, it's just fun. I had quite a lot of fun with it, playing around with these builds and finding out what worked best for me and what worked best against these enemy types. And if you're into that sort of thing, definitely pick it up. I think my only major issue with it is there's only 12 levels, so it's a little bit on the shorter side.
All right. Good. Okay. Oh, that sounds good. Trifox. And that's out now, is it?
Yes. Yeah. Oh. My review's up on the site as well.
Paul, what's your game?
What is my game? Well, at the moment, I'm actually gone back to a couple of old games. I've got another one I'll talk about in a moment. But for now, I'm spending a lot of time playing Destiny 2. With the new season of The Lost thing that's happening. So that's quite good fun. They've introduced a new kind of activity where you have to go and collect candy and stuff, obviously sponsored by Halloween. And the other game I'm playing quite a lot of at the moment is Forza Horizon 5, because I don't know if you're aware, but it's been 10 years since the first Forza Horizon launched. So what they've done is in 5, each week of this season, they've looked back to one of the previous games. So it's been quite interesting going back and looking at the cars that we used in all the different games and stuff. So yeah, basically 2 very good games. Go and play them some more, people.
So your Forza Horizon, it's just the cars that were in Forza Horizon first game.
Well, yeah, basically the cars that were on the cover of the game, they're like the hero cars of the season, say. So in week 1, it was the Dodge Viper, and you had to do a load of stuff in the Dodge Viper. And, then it moved on to a couple of Lamborghinis, and now this week it's Great Britain. So we're back in the McLaren Senna. So, yeah, it's been a lovely way to look back. It's like they've changed the intro sequence each week as well to reflect how the intro for each of the earlier games was. So it all looks a bit different. It's been really well done. It's been a very good celebration, a good look back.
Good. Okay. Nice. I can't believe you're still playing it. Now,
Well,
Darren.
I keep slowing down so I can look in people's houses.
Get
Darren,
a blue car in it. I'll get you back.
Darren, what's your game?
So I'm a bit like Paul. It sounds like we've got no review code, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I've finished a game that Batora Lost Haven I spoke about last week. Still playing Halo Infinite multiplayer. The winter update is less than a week away. So that's going to finally fix the XP problems with leveling up with your battle pass. So you'll actually get XP based on how you perform rather than just hitting challenges. And then also you'll be able to play sandbox mode, and they're going to rebalance the weapons and stuff as well. There's co-op. So it's quite a big update. I think they're hoping that it's going to just put a bit of thrusters underneath it and kind of get the spotlight on it again. So I've been playing that, and then at the Halloween party, we cracked out Jackpox Party Pack 9, which I think I spoke about a couple of weeks ago, and it's just great fun. We had, I think it was about 10 of us, so we played the trivia game Quicksort I spoke about, where you have to order your answers, say from fewest to most, or from lowest to highest, and we just ended up screaming at each other, trying to put people off. It was great fun. And then we also played the Fibbage game, where you can make up false facts and have to guess them. But you can also play Fibbage About You, which is a bit like a card game called Bad People. Don't know if you've heard of it, where you all have to kind of make up facts and stuff about the other person, and they have to guess the right one. So it gets quite personal, and all the in-jokes come out. So just tying up loose ends, really. I've got a couple of other games I need to start playing. But yeah, they're the main ones I've played in the past week.
Good. Okay. Paul, are you going to say something then?
No. I wouldn't dream of it. I wouldn't dream of breathing or speaking or anything.
Yeah. Just behind the curtain, we just have to tell Paul off for breathing. We have to stop the podcast because he was breathing generally.
We've had to stop the podcast because I was trying to get some oxygen in my bloodstream.
Yes, no breathing on this podcast. It's not allowed. I'm going to talk briefly about a game, first game that's come out today called The Chant. Now, I haven't finished my review yet because I've still got a bit more of it to play, but I'm about 2/3 of the way through. And The Chant is a game. The Chant was a game I was really excited about. And The Chant's set on, it's like a third-person action adventure, and you play this lady called Jess who lost her sister and is a bit lost in life, and so her mate invites her to this island, to this almost like cult group who are a little bit living in this island away from someone. So you arrive at this island, and then you arrive in the cult group, and you sort of like chat to everyone, and then a ritual starts to take place and then someone freaks out completely, and you realise something more sinister at play with the cult group, but actually something much more supernatural as well. That's the kind of premise of it, without to spoil anything more. But the game is a mixture of sort of exploration, just going around, but also you have these kind of monitors on you, like your mind level. So you're trying to avoid yourself having panic attacks, where things might scare you or things might do. But so you might have to eat some lavender or something like that you collect around the building. And it's also, when you're walking around, it's like you're playing like a puzzle adventure. So it's almost like a little bit Resi Evil in that sense. Puzzles, inventory. There are kind of like these. You open this portal with this thing called the Gloom, and you have to sort of attack these creatures. Sometimes, like simple things like there might be flies in the way, so you make a like a lavender sort of like, what's the word? It's, like when people burn something, like almost like what do you have in churches? What do you burn in churches?
Incense.
It's like that, but it isn't incense. And you're burning that you have to burn that to get rid of the fly. You're using the attack button and the heavy attack button to do that. So the whole game is, the good points are the kind of the idea. I don't think there's been a group that's been in a cult group except for Cult of the Lamb recently, and I think the things about how you deal with sort of panic attacks and anxiety in a game, you have to kind of like leveling up and trying to keep those levels up are quite interesting, but the mechanics of it don't quite work properly. It's not as, it gets a bit like when you go into sort of having to fight things like creatures and stuff, it's a bit clunky, doesn't feel very good, and it's not a AAA title, it's like a AA. It's an indie title, even though it looks quite good, looks like a really good, but none of that holds together. It doesn't, sometimes it just doesn't know really exactly what it is, and that's a bit of a shame. But I'm not going to give it its full review to have done the whole thing, but I'm a little bit disappointed. It's just, at the moment, maybe it's a 3 or 3.5 star game, but not the game that I expected it to be. There you go, the Chant.
Excellent. Well,
Review coming out soon.
sounds like there's lots of lavender in it.
There is some lavender and ginger. I think I'm collecting
It's
ginger.
like you have to do it. It's not the most obvious weapon to look after yourself with, is it? Oh no, take this bunch of lavender to the face.
I think you'll throw. I think if I remember, you throw salt at things as well.
Oh,
salt as well. Yeah.
Well, obviously, I mean, I did wonder when you said, "What do you burn in churches?" I nearly said heretics. I'm glad I didn't.
You should have done. You sell it now. It's good.
Sorry, did I say that out loud?
Richard, have you got another game you can talk about? One more game each.
Yeah. Phantom Abyss, which is on Game Pass and through Xbox Game Preview at the moment, is a bit of a weird one. So it's like an asynchronous multiplayer game where you're tasked with running through these temples full of obstacles and things to avoid. But you can sort of see these phantoms, and these phantoms are other players that have tried to clear this temple but have failed. So you use these phantoms to sort of guide you the right way. And if you see where someone's perished, you're like, oh, there's an obstacle or a trap there. I need to be careful. Because the unique thing about Phantom Abyss is that each temple will only ever be completed once, and then it disappears forever. So it's all about procedural generated temples. And if you're the one that's fortunate enough to get to the end, you win that relic, and then you can level up your whips. You unlock new whips that'll help you traverse around these areas. So it's a little bit like an endless runner crossed with a battle royale in a way, except when I was playing it, I needed to keep reminding myself that I wasn't racing against these phantoms, because you'll sort of start in this temple and then they'll all run off in the same direction, and you're like, I need to pace myself a little bit here. I'm not against these people. These people have already tried and failed. I need to use these to my advantage. So it's quite a unique concept. I'm writing up a preview for it at the moment because it's not in full release. I think I have a few issues with its longevity, because it sounds like a really good concept, but if you get to the end of a temple and you earn a relic, the next thing that you do is that same temple again, but it's just a little bit longer. So it's divided into, I think the first one you do is divided into 3 rooms, and then the next one might be 4 or 5 rooms, and it just sort of builds up that way.
Okay.
So it does get a bit repetitive, even though everything's procedurally generated. You start to work out patterns, sort of. There is this underlying story that's drip fed to you by, there's another person in you have like a safe room, there's another person there, and there's also these things, I think they're called guardians, and you're learning a little bit more about these. So the one in the first biome, for example, won't appear in the first room, but if you make it to the second room, it will then start chasing you, and as you progress, it chases you a little bit quicker. So whilst it's not necessarily a race, you can't dawdle, if you see what I mean. But yeah, it's certainly worth a look. Like I say, it's on Game Pass. I was quite pleased that I managed to win my first relic on my third attempt, whereas previous battle royals had taken me literally years to win anything. So, yeah, take a look. I just need to, hopefully, as it's in game preview, they're going to be adding a lot more stuff to it, because I think that's my biggest concern about it at the moment, is that even though there's these different biomes, how much fun you're going to get as you keep progressing, I'm not so sure at the moment.
Oh, it sounds really. I'm kind of intrigued by it. I think I'm going to give it a go. I think.
Definitely give it a go. Yeah, like I say, it's in Game Pass, but I think you'll see what I mean if you do give it a go.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, good.
I don't think I will. You lost me at Battle Royale.
Battle Royale, yeah.
Yeah. However, I do have to just check. When you say that you can unlock new whips, are we talking about cars?
No, yeah, it's the traditional version of the word
Oh,
whip.
definitely not interested then.
Very down on the kids, Paul.
I tell you what.
Paul,
Let me just get on MySpace. Anyway, yes.
What's your second game?
What is my second game? Well, given that we're recording this on a Thursday night, the one I'm talking about is under embargo until tomorrow. So today, when you listen to this, so it should be all right. And it's the latest RPG from Kemco, and it's called Silver Nornir. Nornir. I've got no idea how you pronounce that second word. And basically, it's another Kemco retro-style RPG, but this time it has a unique selling point, and it's that the game appears to be played in fast-forward almost. When you're running around with your group of characters trying to explore all these dungeons, the speed they move at is ridiculous. People of a certain age will remember Benny Hill. And at the end of it, how we always used to have these speeded up sections where he was chasing young ladies around with the music.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what it feels like the game is channeling. All it needs is that music, and it'll be perfect. But, you know, it doesn't half make it difficult. The speed that the party travels at, trying to get into the right place to go through a narrow gap or to open a chest or do whatever is really, really difficult.
Have you checked the settings?
Yes.
They're good.
There isn't a setting.
Try turning it off and on again.
I ripped the power lead out and it didn't make a difference. So yeah, it's okay. The story's reasonable. It's very confusing at the moment with much time travel and all sorts of things. But look out for the review today if you're listening to this on Friday.
Yeah. Okay. Darren, have you got another game? I don't think you might have one, might you?
No, I don't. I touched on all of mine.
You can just relax.
Matron.
Sit back.
Easy. The family podcast.
Yeah. And the last game I'm going to talk about is a game called Tempest. I think the review must be out now. Yeah. Tempest is a lovely little indie game that's just over £5. You start the game and you're on this island called Tempest, and you're in the middle of nowhere. It's now, and there's a storm, and you find that you can kind of build a portal. So you build a portal. This happens in the first 2 minutes, and you go through it, and then you're on the same island, but now it's 200 years in the future. And so you then have to go around the island and try to reactivate the portal. So hopefully you want to get back, but the moment you do that, you then go 2,000 years in the future on the same island. That's the premise of it. And so what you're basically doing is going to each of the 6, I think, levels, and you're solving a kind of puzzles, trying to work out how to reactivate the portal by going over here and reactivating, doing a puzzle and solving something like that, going somewhere else, And what's really nice about this, it has no text, minimal cutscenes, but it's the thing I really enjoy is the kind of visual storytelling of like you're seeing these kind of worlds and trying to work out, what happened here? Who lived here? In one world, you're one world it's completely, the water has filled the island, just water, and all the city bits are, all the sort of like bits of the island, like the accommodation is high above, and it's forever raining and storming. It's just kind of stunning. Another time you just see this massive kind of spaceship just ruined on the island. It looks like there's been some kind of war. And another time you're in this place is just run by robots, and there's been a robot murder that you're trying to solve. So it's a really clever little game, and it's for over £5. I loved it. I thought it was brilliant. I love a kind of puzzle adventure as well, and yeah, I'd recommend it. I recommend if you want to give something a go. Tempest. It has a great soundtrack as well. Kind of little indie thing. I think I gave it 4.5 stars. Maybe I gave it 4. Definitely 1 or 2.
There was a number in there somewhere.
Yeah, but it's good. It's great. Really enjoyed it. I like it when these little gems come along, especially in this busy time of big games, which we'll talk about in a second. Right, gentlemen, that's our games we've been playing. Now let's have a look at some news. We're gonna go through in a minute all the games that are coming out in November and have our thoughts on that. But first of all, we had a bit of PlayStation news. The PS VR2 has been given a release date and a price and some games as well. 11 new VR2 games coming out. So what we know, first of all, and it's coming out on February the 22nd, which you'll be able to get your new PS VR2. Now, Richard is our VR person here, so we're going to go straight to him. But how much is it, Richard?
The base model is £530. There's also,
I'm sorry, how much?
That's £530, which is more than
English
PS5
pound?
Costs. Well, against the dollar, it's not great at the moment. Yeah,
against any
Flipping heck.
There's also the Horizon Call of the Mountain bundle, which comes with the Horizon spin-off, VR spin-off, for £570.
Whoa, just hang on a sec. So you're saying the £530 version doesn't come with the game?
No.
Wow. Okay, interesting.
Right.
Yeah, please continue. I'm just picture my jaw agape.
I feel like we're on Watchdog here. This is great.
You can be Anne Robinson.
Too much information, Paul.
It's pricey. It is very pricey. Very much out of my price range at the moment, which is a shame because it looks like I was umming and ahhing, and then these 11 new games got announced, and one of them, as I'm sure you can probably guess which one, stood out straight away for me.
Which one was that, Richard?
That was the Dark Pictures Switchback VR, which is set in the Dark Pictures anthology world, but it's also sort of channeling the previous one, Until Dawn: Rush of Blood, which was the VR spin-off of Until Dawn, but it was set on a roller coaster. And me and my friends have had a night playing that once, and I've not dared go back to it since. It's just absolutely terrifying.
Wow.
But this Dark Pictures one, so from what it sounds like, each level is based on an existing Dark Pictures game. So you have to go through the ghost ship from Man of Medan or Little Hope, and then there's one based on the Devil in Me that's coming out soon as well. But there was one line in the description that stood out, and I was like, absolutely not. I'm trying to find it now. Yeah, with the PSVR 2 headset eye tracking, we made enemies that only move when you blink and hear demons whisper in your ear with the PS5's 3D audio.
Oh my goodness.
Wow.
Yeah. I'm like, whilst I would love to play it, I'm going to say the price is the reason I'm not getting it, but really it's that one sentence.
It's because you're scared, isn't it? We know.
Oh, absolutely. I haven't seen the trailer, and
expensive.
these enemies that move when you blink, just, yeah, it's a big no from me at the moment.
All right. Can I ask a question? You might know. Can you play on this new VR2? Can you play your old VR1 game?
This, at the moment, I think it's up up in the air. They have said that some of them will transfer over because at the moment the PSVR 1 on the PS5 is a bit of a mess anyway.
Right.
So you have to have a special adapter for it from the hardware point of view, and then loads of different versions. It's not like Xbox Smart Delivery where it works no matter what console it's on. There's all these different loopholes to go around. So with the VR2, I think they have said that some of them will transfer over, but PlayStation have a nasty habit of not giving free updates either. So any that are transferable will likely incur a small fee to be able to do so.
Okay, right. That's a shame. Paul, no,
Hello.
Let's get it down first. We'll go to you, Paul.
Oh, yeah,
Darren,
yeah.
What do you think about this? What's your? Do you like? Is it too much? What's going on? Would you be interested?
I would struggle. I'm one of those people that even if I'm buying a toaster or something, I have to research it and get a good price. I don't like paying over the odds for things. So I'm not necessarily saying that the price is over the odds for the technology, because what Richard's described sounds really cutting edge for VR, but I couldn't pay that much for it. Especially with what's going on in the world at the minute, I feel like a lot of people will think, I'll wait for the hardware to go down, or like I can't see many people rushing to get this on day one. I might be wrong. I mean, it's an interesting collection of games when you look at it, because I think Smilegate are bringing a Crossfire one as well, which was an Xbox game, Xbox exclusive, I think, Crossfire X, and wasn't great. So you've got that, but then the people at Supermassive have been busy, clearly, because there's, the Dark Pictures stuff coming. So there's some interesting titles in there, but the price is a massive hurdle, more so than ever. So I'm personally not. I've never been at the forefront of technology. I need the latest thing now anyway, but I couldn't justify spending that much money.
Yeah.
Paul,
do you think it's a lot of money?
530 quid for a thing without a game? No, I'll have two. Good grief. I mean, that's the price. Well, it's slightly less now since they put the price up, but that's the price of a PS5 to play games in VR without a game. No, just I think, well, to be brutally honest, I think Sony are taking the piss there. It's just far too expensive for what it offers. I mean, if it's going to scare the pants off Dobbo, I mean, it'd be worth getting one. I think we should get Neil to put his hand in his pocket.
I'm happy to do that. I'm happy to, and stream it, no problem, if someone buys me one.
It's just, good grief, I can't get over the price of it.
What was the VR one compared to the PlayStation PS4? Can you remember? It's 349 the PlayStation.
Yeah,
4,
I think the VR was that price as well.
Okay.
But then they knocked, I think fairly soon, they knocked a decent chunk off that, because that's when I picked one up.
Right. So it's pretty much the same kind of idea that it's the same price, around about the same price. So it's not.
I guess so. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. When you look at it that way.
Right. It's just a lot of money. I think it's really. I think it's a gamble at the moment as well. I was just thinking about, as we're going into this long recession, in the UK, it is a gamble, isn't it? But maybe it's fine. Maybe people do it. Maybe people do find money for games and everything else. So it'll be.
But
maybe that thing.
It does have a Cities VR.
I know.
Gareth,
I'm really. That's my favourite one. That looks great. Being in the city, I mean, I would love that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been tempted by it for a while. Of doing that. I don't know, justify that. Maybe we'll see.
I mean, Cities VR though. Could you not just sort of step foot outside of your front door and be in a city? And it wouldn't cost you a penny.
Yeah.
You've not put all the policies in place in that city.
Yeah. I can stand in the middle of the road with a bucket on my head, pretend I'm controlling everything.
Do you know what? I think that you've just written your new 30-second story.
Don't try that at home, listeners. For goodness sake. I was just going to say that I think I'm always hesitant to be at the forefront of new technology like this, because in the gaming world, brand new peripherals such as this don't really have the best track record of doing well, or they'll plummet in price. as Richard said, shortly afterwards. So that's another reason why I don't like to buy them as soon as they hit the market.
Yeah, absolutely. Good. Let's just talk a couple of other announcements. Oh, Atomic Heart has got a release date, another February release date. February's busy, isn't it? 21st of February. Have any of you seen the trailer for this?
Yeah.
I've seen that there was a trailer, but I've not actually managed to watch it, unfortunately.
I think it's a great trailer.
Is it a game that I'll like, Gareth?
I think it's a game you're really going to like. Yeah.
Definitely.
I would say you sounded very northern then, Gareth, all of a sudden.
Sorry.
No, thanks, Dobbo. I'll take your seal of approval there. What sort of game is it?
It's a first-person shooter, really, at its heart. But it's
Are there aliens?
It's robots, AI robots that have gone sentient, I believe. Set in like a communist Russia.
All right.
But the guy that did the music for Doom, I can't remember his name. He's composed the music for this as well. So it'd be another reason to do it.
Absolutely. That
it's
sounds
on Game
great.
Pass. Game Pass 21st of Feb next year.
Yep.
So that'll be the time.
I shall look forward to that.
It looks good. Darren, you excited by that?
Yeah, I like the look of this. I think I've kind of had my eye on it for a while, so it's nice to get confirmation of a new trailer and a release date. So definitely we'll be downloading that.
Let's talk about November. What's coming up in game wise? Let's talk about maybe some of the big. Let's talk about go through the group and see which is your big one you're looking forward to. We're going to chat about that first of all. Darren, what's your big November game, if any, you're looking forward to?
Well, I won't steal Richard's, which I sense will be one of his, but I'm really looking forward to Return to Monkey Island because I love the original and those kind of Lucasfilm games, those kind of interactive stories that you play through. So I'm very excited for this, and I know there's been a bumpy journey on social media and stuff, but I think it will be great. And the fact that it's, I think it's on Game Pass, isn't it, as well? So I'm really excited for that, I've got to say. So maybe not the obvious choice, but one that stands out for me.
It's that surprised me when it's come to Game Pass. It was, it's a great thing. That sort of came from nowhere, didn't it? But it does look, it's. I definitely going to give that a go.
Can't wait.
And go back to that. Richard, what's your one you're looking forward to most?
I think Darren was avoiding Sonic Frontiers, so I best talk about that then. I think we've mentioned it on the podcast before, and I'm still not 100% sold on it yet. But what I have seen recently has been exciting me a little bit more. I just don't want them to mess it up, because this one's been the big Sonic title for a couple of years now. And they've had enough time to sort of implement features a little bit better than they previously have done. I mean, the last new Sonic game, I think, was Sonic Forces, if you discount the remaster of Sonic Colors, and Sonic Forces wasn't great. So yeah, I'm nervous. I'm nervous for Sonic Frontiers, but not necessarily nervous, but what am I? I'm slightly intrigued, but also a little bit nervous. Let's
maybe
say
a bit
that.
Anxious. I mean, I think that's part and parcel of being a Sonic fan, isn't it? Especially in the 3D realm. Ever since, I think, Sonic Adventure 2, everyone's been like, oh, is this going to be good or is it going to be a mess? And we've kind of been to both ends of the spectrum. So I'm very much with you on that.
And that's coming out on the 8th. That's not far away, is it? When is that? That's next week.
Monday.
Monday.
Same day as Monkey Island.
Wow. There we go. That's exciting times.
There's another game coming out on Tuesday, though, which I'm more excited about.
Well, good. We can talk about that in a second as well. Maybe let's go to Paul next. What's your game? And then we'll go back round again. Paul.
Hello. Well, obviously, leaving aside the standout of Football Manager 2023 on the console, which I'm just all over.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to go with from one of my favourite developers, Obsidian, Pentiment. because that looked very interesting. I've been keeping an eye on this while it's been in development, and the style of the game and the typical Obsidian kind of attention to detail all looks to be there. So I'm very interested to see what it's like when it actually comes out. So yes, that's my tip for the top.
Yeah, we don't know much about it. I mean, except for the
No,
style
that's
of it, do
it.
we? That kind of it reminded me of another game I reviewed, and I can't remember the name of the game. Sure, all set in this kind of like medieval tapestry kind of world.
It reminds me of that one where you were almost like you were a character from a painting and you wandered around talking to people. Do you know the one I mean?
That's the one.
I can't think what it was called, and it was really good. I enjoyed that because it was stupid. So.
Good. Well, we're looking forward to that. Let's go around. Oh, it's me, isn't it?
It's you, Gareth.
You have a turn, Gareth.
I'm gonna let Richard do the next one because I think he's gonna have the same one as me. But I'm gonna go for which is a big surprise. So the two big surprises for Game Pass this time was the announcement of Return to Monkey Island, which is really good, but also Somerville, which is a game I've been really looking forward to.
Oh, I had this on my list as well.
Oh, there we go. And it's coming to... We've got a date. I didn't think it was going to come this year at all. So we know it's coming on about the 15th, isn't it, I think? Probably the same time as Pentiment. Yeah.
Yes.
And it's by one of the people who did Inside. So it has that... If you remember the trailers, we saw the kind of... some of the conferences. It's this family and their dog, and they're going through a kind of world that's... It looks like it's been attacked by aliens or something, and they're trying to travel through. It looks great. So we're going to be playing that quite soon. But Darren, you've been looking forward to it as well, have you?
Yeah, I have. I like the fact that I don't really know a lot about it as well. As they're saying, it's like a sci-fi adventure, and there's been a massive kind of conflict that's been going on. So it sounds like the type of storytelling that really grips me in a game. So I'm looking forward to kind of going in with blinkers and not really knowing much about it. Very excited about that.
And Darren, have you got another game? I've just nicked your one.
I think you've nicked my one. One that did catch my eye, and this is a shout for Paul because it'll be easy game of score, is Caterpillar. Which is playing Butterfly 2, and Synchro Hedgehogs. And I think Synchro Hedgehogs 2, and I've reviewed every single one. If the code's still up, I'll have to tell Neil, I'll take it. But yeah, you can earn about 1,000 gamer score in about 30 minutes flat. So that's one for the gamer score list. But no, we've spoken about all the big ones that caught my eye.
I think he's just reviewed that already.
That'll be the review. I'll have to spin it into 600 words, but that'll be the review if I get it.
Right, okay. Richard, what's your next one? I can guess what it might be.
Well, I don't want to sound like a broken record and mention a series that I've just previously mentioned, so I'm going to leave that one for Gareth. I'm going to mention Atari 50, the anniversary celebration.
I didn't think you were going to say that at all.
I thought he was going to say that. I thought that's what you were talking about.
Wow, good.
So, yeah, we've previously spoke about Atari before and how the whole company holds a special place in my heart, and this is a compilation of 100 Atari games in one collection, basically, from the very beginning to, I think it goes as far as the Atari Jaguar, or is it Lynx? I can't remember which way around it is. Anyway, but there's all different games from that entire era of when Atari was big, basically. But then the developers, Digital Eclipse, have sort of taken it upon themselves. I think they've done they've created 5 or 6 new games based on some of these existing franchises. So there was one about a quadrilogy of games, and the 4th one never got released, and they've taken it upon themselves to basically make that game from scratch for this collection. So there's some really interesting things in there, but then it's got this whole other thing. So with it being a celebration, there's this big timeline of Atari from the very beginning to the present, and you can sort of view that as an interactive, almost like a museum exhibit. Basically, it's got little videos, it's got pictures, and it's across this big timeline. So it's very much more than a a traditional compilation of games. They've really taken the time with it. And yeah, it's looking forward to that.
Oh, good. There you go. So how many games again are there in there?
It's over 100.
Oh my god! Wow, brilliant. Paul, what's your other one?
My next one is a game that I'm hoping will be as good as the first one that I played, that I really, really loved. And that's obviously Goat Simulator 3. So, honestly, when that first came out, I played it and it was like nothing else I'd ever played. It was completely mental. A goat running around and licking things. It just was amazingly stupid. And I'm hoping that lightning can strike twice and it'll be there and just be as great as I remember the first game being. So, yes, that's the one to keep an eye out for me.
Brilliant. Okay. I'm going to really briefly chat. Of course, The Devil in Me, which we did a preview in last week's podcast, is coming out on that's another one to look forward to on the 18th, which we talked about last week, which I did the thing. Really look forward to that. But also, I've got to mention this for me. It's got to be God of War 2, which is coming out next week on Wednesday. I think the reviews just went up from other people. And it's getting
lots of good scores.
Lots of 10s. Yeah.
I'm sort of just interested in going back into that world again. I mean, I love the game, the first one. Before I started replaying the first one, I forgot how long it was because it's a big old game, isn't it? I think they're talking about this one's about 30 hours again of like action. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to this. It's gonna be my sort of Christmassy game now, running up to the big one. I think. Anyone else looking forward to this? Have you not played the first one yet, Paul?
I haven't played the first one yet. I'm still playing Thingamajig, Horizon Zero Dawn. Yeah, I'm still enjoying that.
Yeah, I think that's well. The good news is you've got the first one to play, and then this one. You're gonna have a great. I think you'll really like this. I do have
the game sat there ready to play. It's just
Yeah, you'll love it. I think you'll really love it as well because of you having your son as well. I think it's interesting. Yeah.
It is funny. He is called Boy. Whenever I want anything, it's like Boy.
Yeah.
So
yeah. Good.
Are you picking it up on release, Gareth?
Yeah, I think I'll get it on there. I think I've got something to try. I've got Saints Row to trade in. I'll trade that in.
Is it £530?
It probably is. Yeah, I'll get it on Wednesday. Is it Wednesday?
Watch out for
Tuesday.
spoilers.
Tuesday, is it? Oh,
There's been some leaks apparently already.
Oh, sorry, no. Is it Wednesday? Right,
yeah,
one of them days.
One of those days.
It's one of them days next week.
Yeah. But it's a good November, isn't it? There's a lot going on. Also, there's loads of games we haven't talked about. Geometric Sniper. There's one game that I nearly pronounced wrong, and that game's called Yum Yum Cookstar. I nearly got that wrong. Right.
I don't even want to think about how you nearly got that wrong.
That's coming out on the 9th. Right. What are we looking forward to next week? I think we said really what we're looking for. But let's go. Paul, what are you looking forward to?
Hello again. I am, for my sins, going to be spending the majority of the week in Wakefield next week, up Dobbo's neck of the woods.
Hello.
Hi. So it's quite funny. I was chatting to the lady that's in charge of the operation up there, and she's got a proper Yorkshire accent. And I kept finding myself saying, when I was talking to her, she was like, "What do you mean, Are you taking the mickey out of my accent?" Oh, yeah, a little bit. But anyway, so yeah, basically travelling up and down the motorway every day, apart from Thursday when I get to go to Norwich just for a change of pace. So,
I don't know what's worse.
Well, Yorkshire or Norfolk, it's a close run thing, mate.
It really is.
You might go with Alan Partridge down there.
Oh.
Well, if you get any time off, Paul, send me a message. I
will.
20 minutes away from Wakefield if I have to pop in there.
That sounds interesting. I might just do that. Dobbo, rescue me.
Save me.
They're all talking weird.
I'm too near the prison. Save me.
Richard, what about you? Apart from meeting Paul, what are you looking forward to?
Obviously God of War, although I'm not I'm not sure if I'm picking it up on release yet, although the reviews probably swayed me the other way. Harvestella is out tomorrow, which is a Square Enix farming action RPG. All buzzwords that I love. But then on Sunday is the start of I'm a Celebrity, and who doesn't want to vote for Matt Hancock to do all the bus chucker trials?
Oh, blimey. But he's promoting dyslexia.
Please tell
whatever
me
it
you're
is,
not
isn't he?
serious.
I am serious. I really like this one.
No, come on. I had more respect for you, Dobbo, than to watch I'm a Celebrity. Really?
It's a guilty pleasure. What can I say?
Guilty or something.
What about you, Darren?
I haven't watched I'm a Celebrity since Noel Edmonds was in it. That was great. Yeah. No, we're going to meet some friends at the board game cafe tomorrow for a few drinks and board games, which is a nice relaxed way to spend the day off. And then I'm only in work till Tuesday, and then I've got a couple of weeks off there or thereabouts. So looking forward to not having to deal with crumbling technology for a couple of weeks.
Brilliant.
You seem to have more holidays than Santa. What's going on?
Well, I don't know. I'm going to Dublin as well in a couple of weeks. That'll be nice for a few days. Technically not next week though, but yeah, I know. I don't know what it is.
Good.
Joy.
Well, that's so good. We'll want Darren's life. Right. We'll see you next time. If you want to get hold of you, where do we get hold of you, Richard?
I'm on Twitter and Instagram, and my handle is @Dobbo1912.
And Paul, what about you?
I am also on the Twitter. I'm too old for Instagram. And my handle is @XboxHubPaul.
And Darren, what about you?
Also on Twitter, my handle is @27Darren.
How do you find it, Riley? On many things. That's what I'm saying. But for now,
On street corners.
yes, exactly. With a bucket on my head, trying to direct the city. But for now, we'll see you next time. Bye bye.
Goodbye.
Bye bye.
You've been listening to the official podcast of TheXboxHub.com. You'll be able to find all the notes of this show at www.TheXboxHub.com/podcast. You can also check out our social feeds on Instagram and Twitter @TheXboxHub and search for The Xbox Hub on Facebook.